I think in future, a lot of the work that buyers did will be done by agents.
I feel excited about what future has for us, and I think we live in times of opportunity.
When we talk about decentralization or democratization, or like, what do you think international revenue, what role will it play in the next 10 years for somebody who's starting a company today? So far, we got away without having this commoditization of product.
Right.
But no more. It's gotten very difficult to sell. It's gotten very difficult to differentiate. And this is where the true founders will get differentiated from flaky founders.
Right. So, given everything that we discussed today, just trying to connect the dot from where we were in 2024, and there's already transition started to happen, where we would probably be in later part of 25 and as we move ahead. Traditionally buyers used to go to Google, search for the service solutions tools that they kind of train, evaluate or buy into, or the problems that they have. And SEO rankings and ads and stuff, vendors would show up and research started. And now buyers would typically go into a tool like Xeer, maybe start with the problem, not with the tool.
Yes.
And
totally.
Xeer probably recommends not just vendors, but as
playbooks,
right?
Or best practices.
And if there's a need for vendor, it kind of lists the vendors.
Yes.
And kind of cuts through the noise and relevancy, because the AI does the research and the legwork and lets the buyer be a little more smart. So in essence, what I'm trying to understand here is, there was a time the SEO showed the same results irrespective of who you were, because you asked something about a topic. But from what I'm understanding, Xeer would actually show different results for different companies based on size of companies.
Let me add some more color to what you said, right? So, as information, you mentioned early in this conversation that we live in times of data abundance, right?
Yep.
So when there was data scarcity, then just keywords or SEO, you wrote some content and the keywords matched to people who were searching. Google said, this is the content you're looking for, right? When data became so abundant that keyword is available in every single document out there, millions of them, and now how does Google say you're just based on the keyword, the match is not effective anymore, right? Meanwhile, we have a better solution, because with AI and agent, it really understands the question you're asking and compares it with documents, not on a keyword match. In fact, maybe the keywords never match in the document, and yet the document has answer to the question you're looking for, right? So we are building those technologies as well, where buyers can ask a question and the agent can go look for answers in vendor pages, and if it can't find, it can go talk to vendor agents for answers. If it even then cannot find, it'll send an email to a sales rep and say, hey, I got a lead, I'm representing this person, I have this question, please give me an answer, right? So I think in future, a lot of the work that buyers did will be done by agents, and then the same thing on the seller side.
Yep.
So if the human seller answers a question that the agent didn't know, agent learns. So next time another buyer agent asks the question, seller agent can answer, right? I think the future belongs top of the funnel. 50% of our sales budgets are spent on top of the funnel, and 90% of that is noise.
Yep.
So agent to agent communication has the potential to reduce that noise and make these conversations better. I do think we will head into a world where there will be direct answers to queries. SEO and so on were just indirect answers.
Right.
And agents will consume the answers rather than humans had to consume those answers.
Right. No, I think totally makes sense. In the age of information abundance, the only way intelligence can break through the noise is, you'll have to let the tech do the job before the humans come into play, right?
Right.
So if there's one message for GTM leaders, given everything that you are seeing and where we are headed, how would you want them to approach? And I'm again keeping more of the conversation towards, let's just break it. There's enterprise on one side. How would you want the enterprise GTM leaders to look at the next 2-3 years versus mid-size and versus startups?
Okay. What I'm going to say is very controversial. People are going to hate it, right? But look, I have spent close to 20 years in GTM, and I have built some of the very playbook that you are following, right?
Yep.
And they don't work. Trust me. And so the biggest advice is stop doing what you are doing before. That's not working, right? Start helping the buyers. So earlier, what we did was interrupted the buyer. So let me give you an example, because these are, so 10 years ago, 15 years ago, say a founder raised $50 million. And that day, this founder receives 5 emails from companies saying, hey, congratulations on raising 50 million. This is what we do, and we'll help you spend the money and grow your business and talk to us, right? Now, that was a very effective play, because it was very contextual, very personalized, and they were offering a service that this guy is going to look for anyways, right? And that worked. That was very effective.
Yeah.
Only problem is today, with the cost of data, people have gone down. People have replicated now this playbook so many times that the same founder raises 50 million today, he gets 300 of these emails.
Yeah. Right.
Now, what is he going to do with this? So, as go-to-market leaders, we have to understand that even though that playbook looks great for us, there are thousands of other people that are using the same tool, because everybody's tool stack looks similar, and then hence that playbook will not work. So what will work? I think empathy, understanding the buyers, right? And truly helping the buyer make the decision, and coaching the sellers to not just sell, not commit to things they don't have. And every product is designed for a specific set of buyers. I think where the sellers go wrong or go-to-market team go wrong is they just want to make a quick sale, so their messaging, their sales process, it's all
broken.
Yeah, it's broken. It doesn't. It's not differentiated or targeted. I think we are headed into a world where there's not going to be any tolerance for this. The companies that will succeed are the ones that will know exactly which buyers to sell to, just focus on those buyers, and invest all of their time in helping the buyers make the right decision. And if the right decision means not to sell your product and point them to your biggest competitor, then that's exactly what vendors should do. And the vendor that does this are the ones that are going to win. And at Zero AI, we are building solutions to enable vendors to help buyers.
Yeah. No, I think it totally makes sense. I would actually imagine Zero. I would want Zero to be that, and I think it's in the right way, right? So we all went to Google to find answers, and I think time will come. We'll all go to Zero or deploy our agents to Zero to find out the right solutions, not necessarily vendors.
Right.
And if the solution happens to be from one of the vendors, I think that's what the AI would end up recommending, right?
Right.
So yeah, I think it kind of aligns with what we have been chatting last couple of days, and I think what lot of us kind of see that change, but we probably missed a directional input. Now that it's coming from you, and I feel excited about what future has for us, and I think we live in times of opportunity, right?
Yeah.
I think
let me ask you a question. I guess one of the conversation we were doing earlier it occurred to me, but I didn't address it. So, we're talking about SaaS. And last 20 years, most of SaaS revenue came from, say, US or certain territories, right? There was concentration.
Right.
And now, when we talk about decentralization or democratization, or like, what do you think international revenue, what role will it play in the next 10 years for somebody who's starting a company today? Because traditional wisdom was, forget international, focus on US in the beginning, because that was the biggest, it's still today the biggest market, but I'm trying to peek into 5 years from now, 10 years from now. How will the world look like?
So I think if you're talking, I don't know about 5 years, but definitely the 10-year window. I think it's where we have most consumers that the revenues will happen, right? So that means, see, we are talking about a world where at some point buyers will decide, meaning users will decide their tech stack, if not for the large enterprise kind of softwares, at least for tools that we use day to day. I feel personally, users would decide their tech stack, and if companies are paying for certain outcome and efficiency, and I care more about how I get that efficient, right? I create my own agentic layers, and I subscribe to certain tools. I carry that wherever I go, which means I think countries that end up creating a lot of IT employment, I think will have larger market share, and maybe the cost arbitrage will not matter that much then, because I think, like you rightly put, we're going away from pricing a bomb for seed from top 2-3 players controlling the market share to it's 40 people.
Right.
So you'll have to be competitive anyways, irrespective of the market that you play in. So I feel that way. Maybe
here's my thought, or at least preliminary thought. But you brought up an interesting point. We'll go back to that on use tech stack for individuals. So let's not forget that. I think the TAM for SaaS will increase dramatically internationally. So think about that for a moment. So there are tens of thousands of SaaS tools built in US, some of the best ones, right? Sold to US companies, maybe Western Europe, or now these are the premium vendors. Now we are talking about smaller vendors that will disrupt using innovative pricing, which means the pricing could be success based or lower pricing, right? So think about a company, a vendor that was charging $100,000 for their tech, and then a new business comes in where you pay only like $5,000 a year or $10,000 at the most. Now at $100,000, the TAM was limited. There were many territories that couldn't afford, but $5,000 now everybody can afford, or many more, right? Except most go-to-market teams are not even geared to sell internationally. So I feel like a big input for go-to-market leaders is think about disruptive pricing, but also think about international expansion, because now for the first time, your product can be used by many more folks than you even imagine before.
No, that's a good point. Actually, it is accessible to a lot more wider audience than it has ever been.
Right.
Right.
The companies or vendors that know how to sell to individual, slightly in a consumerized fashion, will certainly do better. We are headed into an economy that is going to be highly efficient.